Okay, be honest with me for a second. Have you ever been in the middle of saying something and suddenly your brain just stops?
Completely. And then what comes out? 3 times in a row.
Yes, and you can hear yourself doing it, but you cannot stop it. It is like watching a car crash in slow motion.
That is the most accurate description I have ever heard.
So today we're talking about exactly that. How to stop saying too much and how to sound more confident almost instantly.
And I want to say something important right from the beginning. If you say a lot, that does not mean your English is bad.
Right. Even native speakers say it constantly. Politicians, CEOs, people who speak for a living.
But here's the thing. When you say too much, people stop listening to what you're saying and they start noticing how you're saying it.
And that's when confidence disappears. Not because you said the wrong word, but because the ums took over the whole sentence.
So we're going to fix that today. Real system, real steps, no fluff.
Welcome to English Chats Daily. I'm Eva.
And I'm George. Let's get into it.
George, I want to start with a moment that probably every listener has experienced. Imagine you're in a job interview. The interviewer asks you a question, and your brain just freezes.
No, I feel anxious just thinking about it.
And then what happens? I think, I'm a hard worker.
And the interviewer is sitting there nodding, but inside they're thinking, does this person actually know what they want to say?
Exactly. And the worst part is, you knew the answer. You had prepared for that question.
But the ums made it sound like you had no idea what you were talking about. That's the real damage.
So here's the question we want to explore today. What if is not actually your real problem?
Wait, say that again, because that sounds important.
What if is just the symptom, not the disease? What if something else is actually causing it?
Okay, I love that framing. So what is actually causing it?
Here's what's really happening inside your brain. When you speak, your brain is doing two things at the exact same time. It's finding the words and it's forming the meaning.
And sometimes those two things don't sync up perfectly.
Right, there's a tiny gap between the thought and the word, and in that gap, your brain panics. It thinks, I need to fill this silence with something.
And the easiest thing to fill it with is because requires zero thinking.
It's basically your brain buying time, and your brain is actually being smart. It's saying, keep the conversation alive while I search for the right words.
So is not laziness, it's your brain working hard.
Exactly. But the problem is that silence, that tiny pause, actually sounds better to the listener than does.
So we're fighting against our own instinct. Our brain thinks silence is dangerous, but silence is actually powerful.
Silence shows confidence. Silence shows you're thinking carefully. Silence shows respect for what you're saying.
But our brain doesn't know that. Our brain just wants to survive the conversation.
And here's the emotional part that nobody talks about. When we're learning a new language, silence feels 10 times scarier.
Because you already feel exposed. You're already outside your comfort zone.
You're already thinking, is my grammar correct? Am I pronouncing this right? Will they understand me?
And then silence on top of all that feels like you've completely failed.
So the is not just a speech habit, it's a fear response.
Wow, that completely changes how I think about this.
And that is why motivation alone will never fix it. You cannot motivate your way out of a fear response.
You need a system. You need something that works even when you are nervous.
This is actually where I think about Atomic Habits by James Clear. He talks about how motivation is unreliable, but systems are consistent.
Right. If you depend on feeling confident before you speak well, you will wait forever.
But if you build a small system, a set of habits that kick in automatically, then you do not need to feel confident first.
The action creates the confidence, not the other way around.
And The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson connects to this beautifully. He talks about how tiny daily improvements are almost invisible, but they compound over time into massive change.
So you do not fix the problem in one day, you fix it one small habit at a time.
5 minutes a day, consistent practice, and over 30 days, you sound like a completely different speaker.
That is such a relief to hear, because a lot of people think they need some dramatic overnight transformation.
No, small edges every single day. That is the real game.
Okay, so let us get practical, because I know our listeners are sitting there thinking, this is great, but what do I actually do?
Yes, so we have built what we call the 5-step anti-um system, and it is simple, it's learnable, and it actually works.
Let us walk through each step.
Step 1 is awareness, and this one surprises people because most speakers have no idea how often they say
Really? Because it feels like something you would notice.
You would think so, but when you're in the middle of a conversation, you're focused on the content, not the filler words.
So what do you do for step 1?
You record yourself. Just pick up your phone, start talking for 2 or 3 minutes about any topic, and then listen back.
And prepare to be surprised, or maybe shocked.
Most people hear the recording and say, I had no idea I said that many times. That awareness alone changes something in your brain.
Because once you can hear it, you start catching it in real time too.
Exactly. Awareness is the first habit, and it costs 0 money and 0 skill.
Okay, step 2.
Step 2 is the replacement habit, and this is the core of the whole system. You replace with a 2-second silent pause.
Just silence?
Just silence. When you feel the urge to say you close your mouth, you breathe, and you let your brain work in that silence.
And that sounds so simple, but I imagine it feels incredibly uncomfortable at first.
It feels terrifying at first because your instinct is screaming, fill the gap, say something, don't let it go quiet.
But from the listener's perspective, how does it actually sound?
From the listener's perspective, that pause sounds like you're thoughtful. It sounds like you're choosing your words carefully.
It sounds like someone who knows what they are talking about.
Totally. Let us do a quick comparison. Ready?
Go for it.
Before the system, my greatest strength is, I think, I'm very dedicated to my work.
Okay, yeah, that hurt a little to hear.
Now, after. My greatest strength is I'm very dedicated to my work.
Same words, completely different feeling. The second one sounds so much more confident.
And the only difference was that tiny pause instead of the ums. Nothing else changed.
That's powerful. What's step 3?
Step 3 is to slow down by 10%, just 10%. Not dramatically slow, just slightly more deliberate.
Why does slowing down help with
Because most ums happen when your mouth is running faster than your brain. You start a sentence before you know how it ends.
Oh, I do that all the time. I start talking and then I realize I have no idea where this sentence is going.
Slowing down by 10% gives your brain just enough extra time to stay one step ahead of your mouth.
And you probably still sound natural to the listener. They wouldn't even notice 10%.
Exactly. It's not slow enough to sound strange, it's just slow enough to stop the panic.
Okay, step 4. I'm curious about this one.
Step 4 is to pre-build your safe fillers. So instead of using you have 3 approved filler phrases ready to go.
What are these phrases?
First one is well. Just the word well followed by a pause. It's natural, it's simple, and it sounds calm.
And it's very common in native English conversations too.
Second one is let me think. It's honest, it's confident, and it actually gives you a full second or two to gather your thoughts.
I love that one, because you're not pretending, you're just being real.
And the third one is, that's a good question. This one's great in interviews or more formal conversations.
Because it also makes the other person feel heard, which is a great social move.
Exactly. So instead of you have three real options. Well, let me think. That is a good question.
And any one of those sounds 10 times better than a string of ums.
Practice those three phrases until they feel automatic, until your brain grabs one of them instead of reaching for Okay, and step 5?
Step 5 is the daily 5-minute speaking drill, and this is where the slight edge magic actually happens.
What does the drill look like?
You set a timer for 5 minutes. You pick a topic, any topic, something easy like describe your morning or talk about a movie you watched.
And you just speak out loud, not in your head, out loud?
Out loud is the key, because thinking in English and speaking in English use completely different brain muscles.
That is so true. I can think of something perfectly clearly, and then the moment I open my mouth, it comes out differently.
Speaking out loud, even alone, even to your bedroom wall, builds the physical habit of confident speech.
And you are using the safe fillers, the pauses, the 10% slower pace, all of that during the drill.
Right, you are rehearsing the system, not just rehearsing words. The system becomes automatic.
And 5 minutes a day is genuinely achievable. Nobody is too busy for 5 minutes.
That is the whole slight edge philosophy. The small thing that seems almost too small to matter is the exact thing that changes everything.
Okay, I want to do a casual conversation example now, because the interview situation is one context, but most of our listeners probably struggle in everyday conversations too.
Great idea. So imagine someone asks you, what do you think about learning English online?
Okay, before version. I think it is good because you can study whenever you want.
Painful. Now, the after version.
Well, I think it's genuinely good. You can study on your own schedule. That flexibility is really valuable.
Same content, same idea, but one sounds unsure, and one sounds like someone with a clear perspective.
And honestly, the after version is also shorter. There are fewer words, but more impact.
That's a huge insight. Ums actually make your answer longer and weaker at the same time.
The pause makes it shorter and stronger. Wild how that works.
Okay, I want to pause here and check in with our listeners. How are you feeling right now? Does this feel achievable?
Because sometimes when you hear a system, your first reaction is, okay, but that's easier said than done.
And that's fair. This is not easy in the beginning. That 2-second pause is going to feel weird the first 50 times you do it.
50 times sounds like a lot.
It sounds like a lot, but think about this. If you do your 5-minute drill every day, you're probably creating 30 or 40 pauses in each session.
So you hit 50 reps in just 2 days.
Exactly. And by day 5, the pause starts feeling more natural. By day 15, you're doing it without thinking.
That's atomic habits in real life. You're building a cue, a routine, a reward. The habit loop clicks in.
The cue is the mental gap. The routine is the pause plus breath. The reward is sounding more confident.
And once your brain learns that the pause brings a reward, it stops reaching for automatically.
The neural pathway literally changes. This is not a motivation thing. This is biology.
Okay, let's talk about the identity shift, because I think this is the piece that makes it all stick together.
Yes, this is the part that takes it from a technique to a transformation.
What do you mean by identity shift here?
So most people try to change their behavior first and hope their identity follows. They think, if I practice enough, eventually I'll feel like a confident speaker.
But James Clear actually says it works better the other way around.
Right. You choose the identity first. You say, I am becoming a calm, confident speaker, and then your actions follow that identity.
So every time you choose the pause over the you're casting a vote for that identity.
Every single drill, every conversation where you slow down, every time you say well instead of those are votes.
And votes pile up. evidence piles up until one day your brain genuinely believes, I am a calm speaker.
And that belief changes how you show up in every conversation after that.
That is so much more powerful than just saying, I will try harder to stop saying.
Trying harder does not work here. Becoming someone who communicates with calm does work.
I want to say something to the listener who is feeling a little vulnerable right now, because some people listening might be feeling a little exposed.
Like they have been carrying this problem alone and nobody ever explained it to them clearly.
Right, and maybe they have felt embarrassed about their speech for years. Maybe they have avoided speaking in meetings or in class or with strangers.
If that is you, I want you to hear this. That pattern was never about your intelligence. It was never about your worth.
It was a skill gap, and skill gaps can be closed. That's what skills are for. And the fact that you are here, listening to this, already means you are taking action. That is already a vote for the new identity.
The calm speaker is already inside you. You are just clearing the path to let them out.
Okay, let us do a quick midway recap before we close this out, because I want to make sure everyone has the full picture clear in their mind.
Good idea. Let us bring it all together.
We started by asking, what if is not your real problem? And we found out that is your brain filling a fear gap, not a vocabulary gap.
Motivation will not fix a fear response. You need a system, small habits that work even when you're nervous.
We talked about how tiny daily improvements compound, that slight edge philosophy, and how identity shift locks the habits in place.
And then we walked through the 5-step system. Step 1, record yourself for awareness. Step 2, replace with a 2-second silent pause.
Step 3, slow down by 10%. Step 4, pre-build your 3 safe fillers. Well, let me think. That's a good question.
Step 5, daily 5-minute speaking drill. Out loud, every day. That's the engine.
Now, before we close, George, I want to address one more thing, the fear of silence in a group.
Oh, this one is big, because one-on-one you might feel okay practicing, but in a group setting with multiple people watching, silence feels unbearable.
Right, when there are 5 people in a meeting and you pause for 2 seconds, it feels like 2 hours.
But here's the truth. For the listeners in that room, your 2-second pause feels like maybe half a second.
You're always experiencing your own silence more intensely than anyone else is.
Because you're inside it. They're just watching a confident person think carefully before speaking.
That's such an important perspective shift. You feel exposed, they see composure.
And that gap between how we feel and how we look, that's actually one of the most confidence-building discoveries you can make.
Once you know that the silence looks better from the outside than it feels from the inside, you stop being afraid of it.
You actually start using it intentionally, like a tool.
Exactly. The pause becomes your signature, the mark of someone who thinks before they speak.
And people respect that. In interviews, in meetings, in classrooms, in friendships, thoughtful speakers are valued everywhere.
Okay, we're coming toward the end now, and I want to leave you with something really clear and actionable.
3 steps. Simple. Let's go.
Step 1. Tonight, record yourself speaking for 2 minutes, any topic. Listen back, count the just awareness.
Step 2. Tomorrow morning, practice your 3 safe fillers out loud. Well, let me think. That's a good question. Say them 5 times each. Feel them in your mouth.
Step 3. Start your 5-minute daily drill. Set the timer, pick a topic, speak out loud, and use the pause every single time you feel an coming.
Do those 3 things for 7 days straight. Just 7 days, and you'll notice a real difference.
Not a perfect difference, a real difference, because we're not chasing perfection here.
We're becoming calm speakers. One day, one drill, one pause at a time.
And I want to say something about who you are becoming through this process, because it's bigger than just removing from your speech.
It really is, because when you learn to pause, you also learn to listen better. You become more present in conversations.
When you slow down, you think more clearly. Your ideas come out sharper.
When you pre-build your responses, you become more organized thinker overall.
This is not just a speech habit change. This is a thinking habit change.
You are becoming the kind of person who communicates with intention. And that kind of person has better conversations, stronger relationships, more career opportunities.
All from a 2-second pause.
The slight edge is real. The compound effect of tiny improvements is real.
And the calm, confident speaker that you are becoming, they are already in there. You are just practicing letting them speak.
I love that. Okay, one last thing for our listeners.
If you want to go deeper on the ideas we talked about today, we pulled inspiration from Atomic Habits by James Clear and The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. We have dropped the links in the pinned comment below this video.
Both books are incredible for language learners and for anyone building better habits in general. Definitely check them out.
And if today's conversation helped you, if something clicked, if you felt like you finally understood why keeps happening, do us a favor.
Hit subscribe, because we make this kind of conversation every single week on English Chats Daily.
Real English, real conversations, real confidence building. That is what we do here.
And if you want to share your 7-day challenge results, drop them in the comments. We genuinely read every single one.
You are not learning alone. You have this community right here.
We'll see you in the next episode. Keep talking, keep pausing, keep growing.
You are a calm speaker. You are becoming one right now. See you next time.